All of us who have flown are very familiar with the concept of turbulence, right? We've all experienced it. We've all been on a flight and things are going along just great when suddenly we run into a patch of turbulence and it literally shifts the atmosphere. There's so much tension, right, that the passengers are experiencing. In the pilot and co pilot seats, I guarantee you, they are so calm. They are cool, they are collected, they are ready because they know that on this journey, they're going to likely experience turbulence. Hi, it's Dr. Maya, board certified OBGYN, certified life coach, and author. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Today, you and I are taking flight in a talk I'm calling Defying Gravity. All of us have something that we're trying to achieve. All of us have something that we're striving for, that we're reaching for, some goal, some dream, some desire, in some area, some arena of our lives. But wouldn't you know it, life is very good for throwing challenges our way to try to keep us grounded. And this can come in so many forms, right? Whether it's just discouragement, whether it's financial hardship, whether it's life or work or relationship stress. Sometimes it's just the rigorous demands of the day-to-day life, that daily grind that will do its very best to keep us grounded. But do not fear, because I am here as your co-pilot today so that you and I, can learn how to defy gravity and get to those heights that we're trying to achieve. You will find with me that I like to use real life examples to keep these talks practical, right? I want these to be talks that you can sit in on with me. And when we're done, you can take what we've discussed, what you've heard, and you can apply it literally right then and there and get to your next win. So today, defying gravity makes me think about your typical airline pilot, right? Your typical airline flight. Now, when I talk about you and I taking flight, unfortunately, I'm not talking about the whole sit back, relax, enjoy your flight, we'll get you safely to your destination. No, no, no. You and I are in a different seat. We're not in the passenger seat of our lives. We are the pilots. And we're usually accompanied by our co pilot, like I'm with you today. You will note that really in any airline craft, the pilot and the passenger are having two very different experiences, right? So the passenger is generally pretty comfy. They've gotten out their neck pillow, they've got their snacks, their laptop, their magazine, they're ready to roll. I will tell you, the pilots are having a completely different experience. They are trying to chart the course, the flight path. They're trying to anticipate challenges that they may face along the way so that they can get you and themselves safely to the destination. So, likewise, you and I today, and my joy really in coming alongside you as a co pilot, right, to get to our next destination, is really to just inspire you and motivate you so that you have the courage to keep going no matter what you might face and defy gravity no matter what comes your way along this flight. Okay, so what are some of the most common challenges that pilots are really ready and preparing to face along the way? So we're going to hone in on about four different things that I wanted to talk about today with you, and then really apply them to our lives and our journey as we're trying to get to that next level. So today we're going to talk about headwinds, tailwinds, crosswinds, and good old turbulence. Okay, so let's start with headwinds. What are headwinds? Headwinds are really, I think, simplest put, the winds that are blowing towards the plane, right? In our lives, that's going to represent opposition and adversity because it's these headwinds that really seem to slow the plane down and slow the pilot down as he's tracking to his next destination. Likewise, I think in our lives, these headwinds come in so many different forms, really in an attempt to slow us down, right? As we are trying to move, as we're trying to get there, we're making strides, we're making plans. We've set in our minds, our hearts, our soul, I'm going to have success, I'm going to get there. And then along comes headwinds, many forms, many challenges, financial hardship, disruption, right? Relationship conflict. The list goes on and on. So many ways and shapes and forms that headwinds can come into our lives. Okay, so what are we to do? Well, if the headwinds can determine really how fast a pilot can fly, the altitude that they might achieve, and really the route that they take, then we need to be aware of the headwinds that we are likely to face. It's just a part of our journey. One thing I will say today is that I have learned we're actually not going to get to where we're trying to go without a little opposition, without some adversity. And some would say quite a bit, depending on who you talk to. Okay, so we really just need to be, number one, very aware, much like those pilots out there, that we're going to face some headwinds. They're going to make an attempt to slow us down. But really, by preparing and being aware of that, we understand that no, this is not the time to stop, to get discouraged, to turn our plane around. No, no, no. We just keep moving forward. Even if we have to make some adjustments, we are going to get there. It's just going to take a little bit of preparation and a little bit, really just acceptance that that is a part of our journey. And that's honestly, in most of our cases, much of the power of our journey in overcoming these headwinds that we're facing. We talked about headwinds. What about tailwinds? We're going to switch it up a little bit. So, your tailwinds, again, simplest put, are the winds that are actually blowing from behind the plane. So it's really these tailwinds that are going to provide speed and acceleration along our journey. And that's probably the most exciting part of our journey, when we really feel like, okay, wow, I have had to face some adversity, quite a bit of opposition. We've gotten the plane up. Finally, I'm feeling like, wow, we're getting somewhere. We're getting some acceleration. And we've got these tailwinds of destiny just blowing us right in the right direction. We're using less energy now. We're using less fuel. We seem to be getting to where we're going fast. That's wonderful. And it's probably the most exciting part of our journey. But I just want to caution you and I actually a little bit, because when you talk to pilots, it's actually these tailwinds that cause our plane to lose a little bit of our lift. So we're moving faster, we're using less energy, but we're actually losing some of our lift. Why is that important? Because when it comes to takeoff and landing, right, we don't want tailwinds driving us down. What does that have to do with you and I, our journey? Well, the way I look at it is we celebrate our tailwinds, but we really have to make sure that we're not running too far too fast. We want to avoid burnout. So as we're moving and we're excited and we're experiencing acceleration, we cannot forget to take a moment, take pauses along the way, make sure that we're applying rest and self-care. And as you get to know me, you are going to be very familiar and very comfortable with this concept of making sure that we insert proper self-care and rest along our journey. It's a must. It's essential. Even with these tailwinds, we have to beware, because we have to make sure that we don't burn out. We want to get to our destination in one piece and show up in the best and highest expression of ourselves. Okay, so we address those headwinds, those pesky headwinds the pilots have to face, as do you and I, in opposition and adversity. We will overcome it, and we will then experience the burst of tailwinds that come along and really provide that speed and acceleration on our journey. Well, let's get a little into crosswinds. What are these crosswinds? These crosswinds are the winds that are blowing along the side of the plane. And, I think about these as those times, those days, those seasons in our lives where we suddenly feel like we're being blindsided by situations that erupt seemingly out of nowhere, right? And that's what these crosswinds remind me of. They can blow so fiercely that they can move the entire plane from its center. And likewise, we have to be cautious or at least alert to the fact that we too can be blindsided, in this drama we call life, by situations, eruptions, people that can come along and almost threaten to move us away from our center. And so when these crosswinds come along, and they very well may, I just want it to be something that you and I not fear and not become frustrated by, because again, this is the normal experience of a real pilot. And as you and I pilot our way on our journey, these crosswinds blow. We see that we're moving away from our center, that we're going to just take a minute and we're going to recenter ourselves and we're going to refocus, however that looks to you and whatever it takes. We're not going to allow these crosswinds to blow us off course. Okay. All right. So we're addressing the headwinds, we're addressing those tailwinds, and those crosswinds that we are sure to encounter. Okay. What about that fourth piece? What about that turbulence? So I think all of us who have flown are very familiar with the concept of turbulence, right? We've all experienced it. We've all been on a flight and things are going along just great when suddenly we run into a patch of turbulence and it literally shifts the atmosphere. There's so much tension, right, that the passengers are experiencing, whether they are expressing it out loud or not. It's palpable right in the cabin. But again, that's what's going on in the cabin. In the pilot and co-pilot seats, I guarantee you, they are so calm. They are cool, they are collected, they are ready because they know that on this journey, they're going to likely experience turbulence. Okay, well, what is turbulence? It's just this sudden, unpredictable, sometimes pretty rough air currents, okay, that are just out there circulating. And pilots know, they don't fear, they know they are going to run into some turbulence on that journey, especially it depends on the route that they're taking. Okay, so turbulence, okay, in aviation terms, can come in three different forms. You can experience turbulence from storms. You can experience turbulence that literally rolls like waves, like ocean waves that roll over the tops of mountains. Okay. And then you can experience these so called clear air turbulence patches that pop up seemingly out of nowhere, that you really can't predict or necessarily prepare for. The idea or concept of turbulence is a very interesting one, right? Because I will tell you that pilots, dispatchers, meteorologists alike, they are ready, they are prepared, they are anticipating turbulence. That is an important step one for you and I on this journey, because we are likely to experience some turbulence along the way as we continue to move right towards our next level, getting this next win, right? But you and I need to prepare, and we need to anticipate that turbulence is going to come, and we need to be aware, okay, of our surroundings. That's number two. Pilots, believe it or not, can sometimes look out of their window and they can study the patterns of the clouds as they're moving and determine if it is likely that turbulence is ahead. And likewise, you and I can use our surroundings, our environment. Just be very aware as we're moving on this journey, because sometimes we do get a little warning and we can stop, we can center, we can prepare ourselves for a little turbulence that might come our way. And believe me, it will, but it's just a part of the journey. It doesn't come to stop us. It just comes to make us stop for a moment and pause and reflect, figure out how to navigate around this turbulence so that we can keep pushing forward. It's not designed for us to move back and turn around. It's not designed for us to fear. It's designed for us to face head on, push through, and keep moving to our destination. Okay, so we've prepared for turbulence, right? We've anticipated it. We're aware of the signs, much like the pilots out there. Number three, we want to surround ourselves with like-minded people on this journey, as we are sure to encounter some turbulence. What do I mean by that? So if you're not the first pilot out of the day, okay, you're not the first flight out in the morning, that means there are pilots that have gone before you that have already experienced turbulence on your similar flight path. And guess what? They will relay that information back to you. Likewise, we need to be surrounded by people who are like minded, who are traveling a similar journey. And guess what? They may have experienced some things along the way that they can warn you about. I also think of mentors. Mentorship is very important, whether we have a mentor, whether we are a mentor for someone else, because likewise, we can serve as that beacon, as that warning, as that message, as that assist to help, right, those anticipate upcoming turbulence. And likewise, people can do that for us and allow us to maybe make a few adjustments so that we have a little smoother ride on our journey. Okay. All right. Number 4, and the last, really is, I think, the most important. And it's like I mentioned, we have to be willing and ready to make the adjustments. And that's really how pilots manage a lot of turbulence, especially rough, kind of maybe more, a little more violent turbulence. They are ready to request and then make proper adjustments. And likewise, on this journey, we might have to make a few adjustments. We make our plans, we chart our course, and we should do that. And we should be disciplined, but we should also be flexible enough to be ready to make adjustments. And I can't stress this enough. And for that to not be a source of discouragement, because that is often one of the biggest opponents to our win, to our victory, to achieving our dreams, our goals, discouragement. And I don't want you to necessarily fall away, turn your plane around due to discouragement. I'd rather you set on this flight with the mindset that, hey, I may run into some turbulence, but I am ready and I'm willing to make the adjustments. I may have to slow my speed. I may have to adjust my flight path, but I'll do whatever it takes. I'm setting my mind to success to get to where I'm headed. Okay, so what can I say? Don't stop. Don't quit. Don't panic. I'm your co-pilot. I'm right here with you. We're on this journey together. And I tell you what, even if you run into some of these headwinds, you're battling some of these crosswinds, you run into a patch of turbulence, even perhaps some of the tailwinds are threatening to bring the nose of your plane down. Let me tell you what, you are going to make it. Just be alert, be aware, surround yourself with good people, be ready to make those adjustments. I guarantee you, you will get this next win. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Maya. I'm so excited for you. I'll see you at the next video.